The latest, Hamas says it agrees to ceasefire in Gaza. Smoke and fire from an Israeli strike rise over Gaza City, Saturday, July 14, 2018. The Israeli military carried out its largest daytime airstrike campaign in Gaza since the 2014 war as Hamas militants fired dozens of rockets into Israel, threatening to spark a wider conflagration after weeks of tensions along the volatile border. AP photo, Adam Musa, Jerusalem. AP, the latest on the Israel-Palestinian conflict, all times local, 2 a.m. Hamas and Islamic Jihad militants in Gaza have announced that they have agreed to a ceasefire with Israel. The groups say Egyptian mediation efforts have succeeded in brokering a ceasefire ending an intense day-long round of cross-border violence. However, it is unclear whether it will hold as warning sirens were heard in southern Israel early Sunday indicating incoming rocket fire once again. Gaza militants fired dozens of rockets at Israel Saturday as Israel pummeled Gaza with its most powerful airstrike since the 2014 war. 2 Palestinian teenagers were killed in an airstrike in Gaza City, while 3 Israelis were wounded from a rocket that landed on a residential home. ____7:20 p.m. Israeli medical officials say 3 Israelis have been wounded by shrapnel from a rocket that landed on a house in southern Israel. The Magen David Adom Medical Service says a rocket landed on a home in Darrow Saturday evening. It says paramedics are treating 3 people in light to moderate condition, among them a 52-year-old man with a chest wound, 17-year-old girl with a face wound and a 20-year-old woman with injuries to her limbs. It marks the first injuries on the Israeli side and the latest flare-up in violence between Israel and Hamas militants. The Israeli military carried out its largest daytime airstrike campaign in Gaza since the 2014 war Saturday as Hamas militants fired dozens of rockets into Israel. ____7:15 p.m. The health ministry in Gaza says 2 teenagers have been killed and 10 others injured in an airstrike in Gaza City. Witnesses say Israeli warplanes dropped 4 bombs Saturday afternoon on an unfinished building near a Hamas police and security compound, reducing the old structure to rubble. The 4-story building is adjacent to a public park. It marks the first casualties in the dramatic flare-up in violence between Israel and Hamas militants. Striking in the heart of Gaza City is typically only seen during full-blown conflicts like the War of 2014 and could mark a sign that violence is escalating. The Israeli military carried out its largest daytime airstrike campaign in Gaza since the 2014 war on Saturday as Hamas militants fired dozens of rockets into Israel. ____2:35 p.m. Israeli media reporting that the military has renewed its bombardment of militant sites in the Gaza Strip as Palestinian militants launch rockets toward Israel. Air raid sirens blared in southern Israeli communities on Saturday in a fresh exchange of fire along the Israel-Gaza border. Israel reportedly targeted militant sites belonging to Hamas and other armed Palestinian groups. No injuries were reported in Gaza or Israel. Media reports say at least 1 rocket fired from the Gaza Strip was intercepted by the Iron Dome missile defense system. Saturday's exchange was the second cross-border fusillade in the past 24 hours, coming shortly after Israel bombed militant sites in Gaza and Hamas militants over 30 rockets toward Israel. ____6:50 a.m. The Israeli military says it has struck several militant sites in Gaza in response to renewed violence along the border. Shortly after, more than a dozen rockets were fired toward Israel. There are no reports of casualties on either side, but the exchange threatens to spark a further conflagration after weeks of tensions along the volatile border. The military says its jets targeted a Hamas tunnel in the southern Gaza Strip early Saturday as well as other military compounds. Hamas says its rockets were meant to deter Israel from further action. The military says an Israeli officer was lightly wounded by a grenade thrown at him during the near-weekly protests along the border Friday. A 15-year-old Palestinian was shot dead as he tried to climb over the fence into Israel. Copyright 2018 The Associated Press. All rights reserved. This material may not be published, broadcast, written or redistributed.